I'm here because I am a roaring lion crying out, righteousness. Oh, yeah. Okay. Welcome, everybody, to the Trust in the Lord Hour. I am your host. Let's get everything organized here, best we possibly can. I'm trusting in the Lord. What about you? The only way to be happy with Jesus is to trust and obey. So it's been a 17-year journey, and perhaps maybe 18 years, and you will not hold me responsible for not knowing the exact number of days that Almighty God called me out of my standing as a preacher pastor and began to cause me to be working on the second greatest assignment ever given in the history of the planet. And of course, one would argue that you could argue that you do not agree with that, but I'm going to try to explain to you what the details of what that assignment is that Almighty God's given to me. And vicariously and by proxy, everyone who has aligned themselves with this ministry have the same assignment and bear the same responsibilities and should share the same blessings as well. The assignment, of course, the greatest assignment ever given out on planet Earth is when Jesus called John the Baptizer to prepare the way for him and make the rough places plain and the crooked places straight and the exalted places brought low. And Jesus said of John the Baptizer in Matthew's Gospel, chapter 11, and at his eulogy and funeral, he said that John the Baptizer was the greatest man ever born of a woman. So obviously, John the Baptizer did something, even though Peter got a great assignment, that is to say, to be able to bind and loose on earth. I don't know what rank it falls in, 3, 5, or 7, but it wasn't as great as the assignment that was given to John the Baptizer. And we have been talking about that. Most of y'all are pretty much aware of that now, that John the Baptizer had a great assignment. And and as a result of that, well, what happened here? Let's see. Try to get my tie straight. Never works right out the right way. Anyway, so John the Baptizer had this great assignment, and but Peter assignment was not as great, even though he was given the keys to the kingdom. The assignment did not compare to, and you know, I've talked about me at San Pietro Vincoli. That's the name of St. Peter's Church, and St. Peter's and Chains Church, where I also received those keys. But again, that's more trouble for you, something you try to figure out and reject. But the other thing about John the Baptizer, perhaps we don't pay very much attention to it, but John baptized Jesus. And John said to Jesus there at the baptism, when Jesus came down to Anon, that segment of Jordan River, to be baptized, John said to Jesus, I have need for you to baptize me. And Jesus said to John, no, go ahead and do it, because it is incumbent upon that. Now, he didn't use the word encumbered. I don't know if the word encumbered as an English language had been used at that point in time. But Jesus said something on the order. It's incumbent. It's our responsibility, John, for just you and I, that we demonstrate righteousness. Now, obviously, I'm paraphrasing that statement. To baptize Jesus, my brother, that's a pretty big assignment. You say, well, Pastor, man, that should be maybe the second greatest assignment. Well, let me put it to you this way, and I'm putting the categories together, but I would want to state that the whole work of John the Baptizer was one assignment, and included or in the loop, or put within the greatest assignment was to prepare the way for Jesus and to baptize Jesus and to fulfill all righteousness. Does that make it work better? I mean, if I wanted to break it down and say, well, outlaw is the third greatest assignment, and the second greatest assignment was to baptize Jesus. Then you're working with a whole lot more numbers, and you're making me work harder. And not that spiritually there should not be some category. So let's just agree that the baptism of Jesus and the announcing that Jesus is the Son of God that have come from his throne in heaven and has made himself present on earth. That was the greatest assignment that has ever that the universe has ever incurred. That the fact that Jesus came from his throne and to earth to live for a while, born of a woman, is greater than creation itself. And you notice that while the Virgin Mary, the Immaculate Mary, Mary the Immaculate, obviously what she did was very important as well, but I don't think it ranks in the level of the first four assignments. The birth of Jesus was important, to be sure. So it's incumbent upon me to, what I'm teaching now is probably beyond most people. They're just not going to want to believe it. People have a tendency when a number of people do not get recognized while they are yet alive. And I'm going to move out of the scriptural, biblical teachings for the moment, but not too far, and move into the element of humanity and people's response to extraordinary things happening in their midst. They're unable to comprehend it when a lot of artists, people that painter, Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo, to name a few. I think Leonardo da Vinci and Michelangelo were well recognized, but there are others that their paintings did not become as fully recognized until they were dead. John the Baptizer didn't become fully recognized until he was beheaded. The fact that God's given me this assignment, I think most people just right off, on his face or on their face or right out of, just rejects the fact that God will assign me to prepare a place for him to return to. What I do when I make the argument that Atla is an assignment, Atla is a place that Jesus will return to. What I do in making the argument is I say, well, he is coming back. We'd all agree. And everybody would nod their head, yeah, we believe he's coming back, Pastor Ben. He said he was. We believe he's coming back. What we don't believe, people would say, is that he's coming back to Atla and that you've been assigned to prepare the place for him. And there's probably very little I could do to convince people. I don't think people will be convinced until it actually happens. The issue is that most of the people that don't believe, or all of the people that don't believe, won't see it when it does happen. They'll be in the grave. They'll be in the grave. They'll be dead, but only the elect. Only the elect. I do. Well, maybe this. Let's look at this a little bit closer, and we can study it from a theological point of view. I think that what I've looked at over the past year or so, as I've looked at the tribulation, if you will, prophecy, that when Jesus does come back, while there will only be the elect will be alive, the Bible says that all the tribes of the earth will mourn. So, and I haven't developed this, I haven't prayed about it, I've been praying about so many other things, but I'm going to go ahead now, being led by the Holy Ghost as he wraps up his work, to say that when Jesus does return, all the people in the graves, when the sky goes black, there's not a star, there's not a light on the universe, all the electric lights go out, and the only light that the world will see will be Jesus descending out of heaven as the light of the world. And it says that all the tribes of the earth will mourn. Mr. Engineer, I think you're going to need to bring that up since we have gone to this direction. Matthew's Gospel, chapter 24. Let's start at verse 21 and read from there, and we'll see what we. Because I need to show this to the people. I need to get the exact verse. So the issue here is that understanding today is the greatest. Understand the teaching today is understanding the second greatest assignment, or understanding the great assignments, I should say. So, Pastor Manny, you're quite tentative today. Well, I recognize that this lesson is going to go above a lot of people's heads, that they're just not going to understand it. And beyond that, there are people that God has not chosen to understand. But it's my job to teach, because there are people, maybe one or two people that are listening today, that it really is their responsibility to know this lesson. And so it's my responsibility to teach you. But Mr. Engineer, bring up Matthew's Gospel, chapter 24 for just a second, and let's look. Let's just read. For then shall the great tribulation, such as not since the beginning of the world to this time, no ever shall be. So the tribulation, in terms of a great assignment, is probably the greatest prophecy. And except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved, but for the elect's sake, those days shall be saved. There, if any man say unto you that Christ is here, there shall rise false Christ. Keep moving, Mr. Engineer. Behold, I have told you, wherefore they shall say unto you, as the lightning come out of the east, for whatsoever the carcass immediately after the tribulation, those days shall the sun be darkened and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven. And there shall, this is what I wanted, and there shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. And shall all the tribes, that's the verse of all the tribes of the earth shall mourn. Now, what we're looking at here is potentially even those in the grave shall see the return of the Lord Jesus Christ. And it would be a good thing, because people that are Buddhist, who die as a Buddhist, who die as a Hindu, who die as a Muslim, people that die from these false and fake religions, they're in the grave. But when Jesus descends from heaven, though they will not be raised out of the grave, they will be able to see from the grave. And now I tell you, I haven't done a lot of theological study on this, nor have I done a lot of prayer on it, but I have considered it as a part of the teaching. So I'm going to go ahead now and say it now, that even though the Buddhist, the Hindu, the Muslim, and others, the agnostics, the atheists, the blasphemers, will see Jesus from the grave. They will see this extraordinary event. And all the tribes of the earth shall mourn, as you just saw me read there for a moment ago. Is that right? So it's important for us to be able to at least make that connection, that when Jesus returns. So let's get back to the meat of this particular message, is that Allah is the second greatest assignment on planet Earth. And I would ask myself, well, when God gave Moses the assignment to go down to Israel, tell Pharaoh, let my people go, Moses didn't so much reject the assignment in as much as he felt that he wasn't qualified. He didn't feel that he was a good talker. And he convinced God, there in the book of Exodus, he convinced Almighty God that he was not a good speaker. He actually convinced God of that. I don't know how he was able to pull that off, but he could. So God said, all right, okay. He had him get his brother Aaron, who was a couple of years older than Moses. I don't know what Aaron was doing out there. He went down went down and got him. So where I virtuous, and where I doing theological training right now, I would then begin to explore. If I was writing a book or writing a paper, where I Elder Smith, and I was writing a paper, I would say, now wait a minute, and we're still on the understanding the second greatest assignment, is that right? Or the great assignments. That I would then begin to study. I would do research study, and prayer study, where I'm writing a book. And if somebody writes a book on this matter, please, give me a royalty, if you will, or commission. But listen to this for a second. Listen to this. that when God said to Moses, Moses, go down to Egypt and tell Pharaoh, let my people go, Moses was 40 years old. Moses convinced God that he was not a good speaker, not a good talker. So God went for that and assigned Aaron, his brother. Now, Aaron was 2 years older than Moses. But here's the issue I want to discuss that I find something that should be prayed about. Okay, Moses escaped Egypt. Was Aaron still in Egypt? More specifically, when did Pharaoh order the killing of the baby boys? Because if Aaron was yet alive and Aaron was not put in the Nile River and with a basket with pitch and bulrushes and all that kind of thing. So potentially the order from Pharaoh to kill all Jewish baby boys was not given until 2 years after Aaron was born. So Aaron was probably 2 years old, but I would wonder, Pharaoh was killing them as they were born, not as they were aged. And I'd have to look at whether it's 2 years young. And I know that Herod killed the baby boys looking for Jesus 2 years young, old, and younger. I think I'll have to check those absolute numbers. And I'm dealing with this without teaching about this without having done the appropriate, I suppose, research and prayer on it. But I thought that I would bring these issues up to take you into a deeper dive of the Bible. The issue is here, if you don't believe that the second greatest assignment is Atlah, you say, well, is it greater than the assignment of Israel? Well, with John the Baptizer had to prepare the way. Israel was the place that he was to come to. So my assignment is to prepare Atlah. You say, well, John didn't prepare Israel. No, he didn't, but he did prepare the way. He spiritually prepared the way. All the things that John said he was called to do were all spiritual things. John was not going to do any construction. He was not going to build any monuments, wasn't going to build any houses or tents or temples. All the things that John said he was scheduled to do, they were all spiritual things. Make crooked places straight. Well, he wasn't going to, straighten out roads and villages. He was going to make all the crooked places that were spiritually crooked. Make all the exalted places brought low. And what's the other thing he was supposed to do? There's several things that John said he was going to do. But I was talking with Elder Smith the other day and about things that we're going to say. And I was actually speaking this Saturday about the campaign to be mayor of the city of New York. And in order, there are several things. By the way, Bob Jackson, if you're listening, Bob, thank you so very much for sending us that musical background. We've already got it up and got it going. I'm going to ask the engineer if he could bring it up in just a second. Bring up the one, Mr. Engineer, with me. Both of them, we'll take a look at both of them. But we were considering how to make the message a succinct message. And John the Baptist made his message very succinct by saying, crooked places straight, the exalted places shall be brought low. Every hill and every valley, the hills shall become level with the valleys. The crooked places shall be made, the rough places shall be made plain. So let's say we're speaking to our campaign manager, Elder Salem, that Pastor Manning becomes mayor. He'll make all the crooked places straight, right? He'll make all the exalted places, all the exalted will be brought low. All the rough places will be made plain. How's that? As mayor. Now, a lot of people wouldn't recognize that as coming out of the Bible. They wouldn't recognize that. But it's an idea. So campaign manager and Salem and Elder Smith, y'all consider that. So listen, Bob Jackson, I want you to take a look at this. Bring that up, Mr. Engineer, what we've done with Bob Jackson, who sent us some suggestions about making our campaign more palpable. What's the word I'm looking for? Inviting or interesting. I'm going to let the engineer roll this. I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere about it. I'll be right back. Eat your heart out, Sabbath, Rachel LaFleur. Eat your heart out. That's Bob Jackson's work. So, one of the things that we surely, when I become the mayor of the city of New York, we're going to make all crooks go straight. We're going to make all of the exalted people come down. We're going to make all the rough places plain. We're going to make it plain, make it plain, make it plain. So Elder Salem and Elder Smith, y'all consider that as a part of where we're going. One of the things that we'll have to consider as well is that somebody say, well, he a preacher, and he gonna try to make all of us Christian, and we ain't Christian. Some of us are Muslim, and some of us are Hindu, some of us are Jew, and we don't want to be no Christian, and we don't know Christian mayor, and I ain't quoting the Bible. But we can find a way to. I like the idea of John the Baptizer making crooked places plain, straight. Rather, I like. And when I become the mayor of the city of New York, we're gonna straighten out all the crooks and the crooked places. And the Mellon Bank and Robin Vance are gonna be at the top of the list. I'm gonna have a lot of fun as mayor. Investigating all of these banks, quite frankly, and all of the foreclosures. One of the things that Pastor Man, you just talked about. Listen, man, would you just listen? I'm going to get back to the greatest assignment. This is the assignment. But I'm going to have a lot of fun investigating. I'll have 4 years to investigate the foreclosures, especially in the impoverished areas of Harlem, Bed-Stuy, Fort Greene. Not if you've been out to Brooklyn, to Fort Greene. They have built in Fort Greene with Barclays Center. And by the way, Jay-Z should be put in jail for what he did with that Ratner brother, that developer, Jewish developer Ratner, and selling the people out into Fort Greene, South Portland, South Oxford to build the Barclays Center. They have modernized downtown Brooklyn, which is on the edges of Fort Greene. And all that money, the people who have become billionaires from these processes, they've more modernized, if you're Fort Greene area, than they have here in the Otla area, Harlem area. And I'm going to be dealing with that a little bit later on, or if not in the subject matter of the Manning Report, that New York has too many homeless people, poor people, and too many billionaires. So all that's coming up in the next segment, the Lord lets get. We have a lot of things. We got appointments today. We got a whole lot of other things that are going on. It's a very busy time of the year. We're going to try to get to that. But I'm going to have a lot of fun dealing with the, and I've collected a wealth of information. Listen, I told Robin Vance when I was down there back in August of 20, I told them, I said, leave me alone. I am not Al Sharpton. You don't know nobody like me. I told Robin Vance, I said, leave me. I stood in front of his bank and I said, leave me alone. Leave our church alone. Take your filthy, blood-sucking hands off our church. I said, leave us alone. He wouldn't do it. He wouldn't do it. And he lost the Warren Buffett as an investor who took out several $1 billion. He lost the American Baptist account. He lost two major accounts because he was hard-headed, racist as hell, Robin Vince, hard-headed and racist as hell. I told him to leave us alone. I'm going to become the mayor of the city of New York. And when I do, I'm going to call for legislation to be put forward that's spearheaded by what Letitia James has said and what the city council presidents have said, that the tax lien law was unconstitutional, discriminatory, predatory, and unjust. And we're going to, as a result of that there have been civil rights violations going back for years done by, and Mellon Bank at the head of the line. And Mellon Bank will have to go bankrupt. Or they'll fight it, and they'll fight it for years, but ultimately, the publicity of fighting it will cause them to go bankrupt. People will realize that Mellon Bank, even though they may fight for 2, 3, 4, 5 years, people will realize it's not a good place to invest. And once we expose what they have done, I mean, foreclosing on churches, merciless, taking people's property, all that will be exposed when I am the mayor of the city of New York. And that's one of the reasons why I'm going to run so hard. And that's one of the reasons why a lot of people are going to vote for me, because we're going to get rid of all the crooked places are going to be made straight. All the rough places are going to be made plain. And all the exalted people are going to be brought low. What do you think about that, Elder Salem? What do you think about that, Elder Smith? All the crooks. When I become mayor, all the crooked places are going to be made plain. Here, Lord have mercy, including Jay-Z. And his work with that rat and the Jewish developer out there. And I don't hate Jews. I'm a Zionist, if you will, righteous Gentile. That's who I am. I'm a Zionist. So let's get that straight. But yeah, all the crooks, all the crooked places are going to be made straight. All the rough places are going to be made plain. Every valley shall be exalted and every hill shall be brought low. That's right. I'm going to have a lot of fun. And the people are going to elect me as mayor. They're going to do it because they realize we're going to get rid of poverty, get rid of poor people. We will not have not by that. We're going to eradicate poverty. We're going to eradicate homelessness. I've done it on a small scale right here in this church. Give me the helm of the city of New York, and we're going to eradicate poverty here in the city of New York. There'll be people coming from all over the world trying to figure out how we've done it. So this assignment that we have of preparing the place for the Lord Jesus Christ is an exciting assignment. As I started out for the first 20 years or so of the ministry, we were able to do a lot of different teachings, and we were able to reach a lot of people. We want to reach out to those people that have known me over the years and find out which one of those people that God has assigned to be a part of the elect. The people that will be saved and will live and reign and rule with the Lord Jesus Christ for 1,000 years right here in Harlem. It'll be called Atla, the land where the people shall walk barefoot, because the land is holy ground. And when Jesus comes to live and to sleep in this building, it will be holy ground. It truly will be holy ground. By the way, with we're planning on, as you know, we have a $500 million lawsuit against the Mellon Bank, the city of New York, and another entity. I believe when I express what they have done to me and to the people, that a jury would award it, because they've been very stubborn, they're very obstinate. I mean, even though they know that the law is illegal, they're still prosecuting. They're still taking people's property. The Mellon Bank has known for years, the city of New York has known for years that the tax lien law was discriminatory, predatory, unjust, unconstitutional, unlawful, racist. They've known it for years. And yet, they're still running through the courts, taking people's property, putting people in shelters, putting people on the street, even though they know the law is wrong. When I tell the jury that, $500 million ain't gonna be enough. I mean, you would think once they were told that the law was unjust, they would have stopped using it. And it's just to melon back on this, the city of New York, Eric Adams. They know that the law is unjust, and they're still taking people's property. They're right. This somewhere in some court, maybe Judge Kahn's court today, somebody is having their property auctioned off, and they know that the law is unjust. $500 million ain't gonna be enough for them for what they have done, terrorizing people, knowing that. There may have been a point where they thought the law was good. Rudolph Giuliani wrote it in 1998. But the moment they found out it was illegal, that it was unjust, unconstitutional, they should have stopped immediately. And then on that, but redressed it by going back to the people and saying, listen, this law that we used was unconstitutional. We want to redress, or we want to take care of you for what we've taken. If we can't give your house back, we want to pay you for what. They're not doing that. They're mad. And so I see this as a golden opportunity to make all the crooked places straight. To make all the rough places plain, all the crooks, and all the rough places, and all the exalted shall be brought low, and every valley shall be brought up. So this is an important time. I'm so thankful that Almighty God is. You say, well, Pastor Manning, you're discussing, listen to how you're talking now. Well, maybe the Lord did call you. Maybe the Lord did call this fight. Maybe you're not willing to go along with it because you'd have to say a lot of, you'd have to, maybe some evil thoughts about me in the past. Maybe you've had some judgments about me in the past or other things I've said or done, and you thought I was wrong on those issues, or, whether it's issues of how I deal with black people, or how I deal with white people, or whatever. You may have how I've dealt with Trayvon Martin or Michael Brown or Al Sharpton or Ben Crump, the Undertaker, Al Sharpton, the Buzzard, or Barack Hussein, the long-legged Macbeth. So you may have said, well, you were wrong about, you may think, well, the way you handle that makes me suspect of you. But you might want to say, Pastor, you're going to do a lot of good things. By all the money that the banks have taken and the billions of dollars given back to the poor people because it was taken unlawfully. And, I would want to point out, I would tell Elizabeth this, I'd want to point out that the person who wrote that law, Rudolph Giuliani, he has had his property here in New York, a $6 million apartment here in New York, has been foreclosed. His car has been taken, his 1980 Mercedes-Benz. I said, if this ain't sweet justice, I don't know what is. And Giuliani, one would want, people are trying to figure out, well, how did Giuliani fall so quickly and fall so fast? And I would say it's the hand of God. It's the hand of God. Since we start opening up the fact that law was illegal, the very thing that Giuliani wrote to have happen to poor people has happened to him. And now the man's a stumble bum. He's drunk every time you see him. He ain't got no money. And they need to take that place down there in Palm Beach he calls his home as well. That's going to go also. So I call it justice, that what's happening to Giuliani is justice and more of what he's done to so many other people. So, Pastor Manning, the more you talk about this, the more, I'm inclined to agree with you. I just don't think it's you. I think what you're saying is right, but I don't think God would use you. Okay, all right. So I understand where you are. But I like the idea that when Pastor Manning becomes mayor, all crooked places are going to be made straight. All rough places are going to be made plain. Every valley will be exalted and every hill will be brought low. I like that. I like that. And at the top of the list will be Mellon Bank and Robin Vince and the city of New York, including Eric Adams. So again, the greatest assignment, I believe that when Jesus does come and all the lights will go out, that the people in the graves will be able to see him. It'll be such a spectacular sight. And, I believe the Lord will let me, the first person that will greet him will be me when he finally lands, comes out of heaven with all of his angels. I'll be able to greet him. So, Pastor, man, that ain't gonna happen. Okay. I mean, you can think that, and we don't have to fall out. You don't have to get angry with me, and I don't have to get angry with you. If it ain't true, it ain't true. If it is true, it is true. The issue here is that there is no counter. There is no one saying anything different. You say, well, the reason why nobody saying anything different is because God ain't told nobody what he going to do. God keeps everything like that a secret. God ain't told nobody, and you lying saying God told you. And God keeps stuff like that. That come ain't nobody else saying that. No, wait a minute now. Wait a minute. Jesus said he is coming back. He didn't say when. But he said he's coming back, so that's not a secret. And the whole world knows he's coming back. Yeah, I know that, but where he coming back to, he ain't told nobody where he coming back to. Well, we can just look at Scripture. And there's certain things that you can find in the Bible that are examples for the future. So if he came back to a holy land called Israel, then it would seem that he would come back again to another holy land. I don't think he's coming back to Russia or China. I don't think he's going to come back to Beijing. You think he's coming back to Beijing? No, he would, if he came first time, and then if the only people on the planet that will be left alive when he does come back are a group called the elect, according to Matthew's Gospel, chapter 24, verse 21 and 22, that only the elect will be alive. So, I mean, wherever the elect are, well, who's the elect? He's coming back to where the elect will be. And Allah is the elect. So I mean, well, I just don't know about that. I just tell you, I just don't know about that because if Billy Graham was saying this, Robert Schuller, Joel Osteen was saying this, I believe it. You know what I think about you? I think you're a racist. You know that? I done peeped your whole card. I think you're a racist. That's your problem. What you said? You said that Billy Graham was saying that Robert Schuller, Joel Osteen. You'd believe it if they were saying. See, I see what your problem is. Yeah. But on the other hand of the racism side, I think that the Lord, the last shall be first and first. I think the Hamite people need some get up. I think the Hamite people need some recognition, don't you? I think the Hamite people, after all these years, I think they need some recognition. The Jews have had their recognition. I mean, the Gentiles have had their recognition with Paul the apostle. First the Jews, and then didn't Jesus call the Jew Paul the apostle to go to the Gentiles and preach to them, right? Set up churches. He's never sent a prophet to black folk. Now, there's no biblical place where a prophet has ever gone to the Hamite people. I think the Hamite people do some justice up in here. And for Jesus to come back to the Hamite people, it would just follow reason. He'd come to the other two brothers, Shem and Japheth. What about Ham? So this assignment that God's given is a tremendous assignment. So I'm going to ask y'all, let me just put out, I'm going to do this now over the next few months. If you believe that, you can be useful in helping me with the office of mayor, then I would appreciate your help. I do. You say, Pastor, man, I don't think you can make it. Why? You ain't got no money. Yeah, but you got some. You got some. And the brother next to you, he got some. And we'll put the two of y'all together, shake your pockets, and then I'll have some money because I'll have your money, right? But I don't know if I give you my money, man. You might not. But listen, let me tell you, these crazy black people gave Camelback Ain't Black Harris $1 billion. That girl spent all that money and ended, first of all, she lost the campaign and ended up $22 million in the hole. After having a whole $1 billion, somebody got rich off of that girl. Somebody got stone cold rich off of that particular. Talking about crooked places, talking about crooked people. That Camelback Ain't Black Harris. She raised $1 billion in 3 months and spent it all in 3 months and ended up losing the race and being $22 million in debt. If that ain't the epitome of the crooked places, I don't know what is. No, the Mellon Bank is the epitome of the person. So I wanted to be able to say those things to you, and I appreciate the fact that you come to hear what I have to say. I'm thankful to the Lord. I'm going to need your help. I am. But this is the second greatest assignment. And I would want to look carefully at how did Aaron escape being killed by Pharaoh if he's only 2 years older than Moses, and what the process was, and how many Jewish people were killed. One of the things I keep saying to a large number of people that will listen, who claim that the Japheth man, the white man, and Americans have been absolutely brutal to black people being slaves in America. And I like to point up to them that Pharaoh, who is a Hamite, you would call him a black man, killed babies. I mean, the moment the child came out of the womb, they would snatch the baby's head off. And they did that to Jewish baby boys. I mean, white folk have never done anything as bad as that to black people, never. And then gets worse once Israel is settled 1,000 years later. When Jesus was born, Herod ordered all baby boys 2 years old and younger to have their heads snatched off. White folk ain't never done nothing like that. I mean, there may be some hangings and castrations. Okay, all right. It's regrettable. My prayers and my understanding goes out to people who suffered that pain, but that ain't nothing like what happened to the Jews. And I go you one even worse, going over there to Hitler, over there in Germany, putting people by the thousands in an oven and turning on the gas. You know, making people strip naked, men and women strip naked in front of their children, and they're putting them in gas ovens. Listen, white people ain't never done nothing like that to black people. You see people like Al Sharpton and all the people jumping up and down, running around talking about how awful white people are. Listen, it's just a fat lie. Black people ain't suffered nothing like what the Jews have suffered. They're nothing like what Jews have suffered. And Jews are still suffering today. And by the way, somebody should have told that boy not to go over there on October the 7th a year ago and go into those kibbutzes and rape those Jewish girls. And somebody should have told him, Netanyahu got an atomic bomb, he's going to bust a cap on y'all. He's busting a cap over there in Gaza right now. Everybody jumping up and down talking about how awful it is. Well, somebody should have told that boy, don't go in there. Leave these Jews alone. Leave these people these young people having a party down there near the Gaza border at the kibbutzes. And here y'all going to come in with your motorcycles and raping the women and killing people and cutting off people's head and taking people as hostages. And somebody should have told him. Somebody should talk to her. Don't do that. Somebody should have told her Netanyahu got a atomic, but he gonna bust a cap on you. And he's busting the cap on her right now. He's up in Lebanon, busting the cap over there, and busting the cap over there in Iran. Somebody should have told him the Hezbollah. Somebody should have told the Gaza boys, Hamas, don't do that. Don't be messing with the Jews like that. Don't be messing with the Jews. Going there killing and raping these girls. What's wrong with you, boy? So now they're paying a price. So what I would want to conclude this message today, I pray that you're one of the ones. If you're not, there's nothing I can do about it. I consider the Outlaw Ministry perhaps it's just a real blessing that, and God has chosen this particular community to return to. He's chosen me as his preacher, as his prophet. He's chosen me as his servant. He's chosen you to serve me as I serve him. And it's just a beautiful time. It's just a beautiful time. And there's a lot of work that lies ahead of us, a lot of things that Almighty God's called us to be able to do. And I'm giving the Lord God Almighty praise. And again, I want to just reach out to if you know in your heart that God's called you. Several people said that though they don't live in New York, they're going to move to New York just to vote for me and work with me. Well, I said, if you can do that, it's a good idea. We had a couple that moved out of San Francisco here to New York, the Lowe's, Dr. Lowe and his wife, Jennifer. I think they misunderstood the strategy and the structure of what we were doing here, and they got treated bad by that Grimes woman. Treated them like they were dogs, putting insects in their food. When they lived with her, they came and told me that Grimes would fix some food, and then catch some roaches and put the roaches in the food. And so they left the ministry. But I would welcome them back. I would. I don't know where they are right now, but I would welcome them, and I would welcome others back. I would welcome them. Now, there are some people who tried their best to destroy the house. Well, I don't know if I would welcome you back, some of those, but I would welcome the Lowe's home again. The Lowe's can come home. And they had a beautiful house upstate as well. But maybe that's you. Maybe you're there and you say, Pastor Manning, I'm believing what you're saying. We're in the tribulation. And what's getting ready to happen now with Tribulation Trump, what that boy is getting ready to do is going to bring poverty and brokenness and wars and rumors of wars and racism. The man, Donald Trump, is a psychopath. No, he is a psychopath. And what's getting ready to happen to America right now ain't gonna be pretty. We ain't never seen nothing like what's getting ready to happen to America. By the way, you know that Trump did not legally win that election. You know that. You do know that. I mean, you understand that. He and that Elon Musk boy, what they're getting ready to do to America and the rest of the world, you ain't seen nothing like it. You'll be begging for Hitler. J.D. Vance will be begging, let Hitler, let Mao Zedong, let Idi Amin be the president of America. We'll take anybody but Trump and Elon Musk. What's getting ready to happen, boy, I'm going to tell y'all right now. What's getting ready to happen to America with those two, that Elon Musk, the man's a psychopath. We got two psychopaths. One got all the money in the world, and the other got all the power in the world. You got all that money in that psychopath Elon Musk, and all that power, because the president of the United States is the most powerful man on the planet. You got all that money and all that power all sitting in one place between those two men. What's getting ready to happen? And you're going to need Allah. You're going to need, and by the way, you're going to need somebody that can stand up to these people. Stand up to the crisis, can stand up to the devil, because that's exactly what's coming down. This time next year, what is it? November, it's Thanksgiving, turkey time. This time, I don't even know if they'll be selling turkeys. I don't know if there'll even be Thanksgiving by this time next year. What Elon Musk is getting ready and Trump are getting ready to do to y'all? Oh, at any rate, this assignment will protect us. Thank God, thank God, thank God. And I pray by this time next year I'll be the mayor of the city of New York, and we'll be able to help people in the ways in which God has talented me, enabled me to be able to do. All right, Mr. Engineer, did Scribe Lewis send you a clip of Purple? Let's run that clip, and then I think we need to let people know about the breakfast program, but we also need to let people know I warned Robin Vance to leave us alone. I told him 2 years ago, and I went down to that steakhouse down there, and I stood in front of Smith & Wollensky Steakhouse, and I told him that's why Warren Buffett left the Mellon Bank. I was in front of that, but Minister Holnick has written a song. And I think Scribe Lewis put my picture in front of the, so can we put all that together? All right, check this out, everybody. This is a shorter version of what happened this past Saturday at the worship with Purple Grace and her presentation. And I want you to take a listen. Go ahead, Mr. Engineer.
Jesus loves me. He who died, heaven's gate to open wide. He
be unto you and your family. Welcome to the Atla Children's Breakfast Program. We welcome parents and their children to partake in our breakfast program from 7:30 to 8:30 a.m. Monday through Friday downstairs in our fellowship hall. At 8:30, we end our breakfast program to run our elementary, middle, and high school. If you wish to inquire about our school, please speak to one of our staff. Have a blessed day, and thank you.
Hola, mi nombre es José Luis Matos. Soy uno de los asistentes ministros de la iglesia Atla World Missionary Church. Mi pastor James David Manning me ha pedido que le diera oficialmente la bienvenida a nuestro ministerio. Bienvenidos a ustedes y a toda su familia a disfrutar de nuestra comida y hospitality. También queremos invitarlos a nuestro servicio que se da todos los sábados a las 10 de la mañana. Si hay algo que podemos ayudarle, por favor déjenoslo saber. También tenemos una escuela desde el kindergarten hasta el 12 grado. Si desea inscribir a sus hijos, por favor contacte a la madre Elizabeth Saramani al teléfono 877-777-0734. El teléfono es 877-777-0734. Gracias. Peace.
Jesus, will you take my hand? Because I don't understand. I don't know which way to go. A lot of things that I just don't know. Jesus, will you take my hand? Because I don't understand. It's a long, dark road, and I carry a heavy load. Jesus, will you take my hand? Because I don't understand. Jesus, lead me to the promised land. I don't know which way to go. Jesus, will you take my hand? Jesus, is all I know.
I got joy in my soul. God is in control. I got Satan on my trail, but I'm singing all this well. He's attacking every day, but I'm watching while I pray. No matter the attack, I won't turn back. This means war. This means war. Say this means war. This means war. I plead the blood. I plead the blood. There's power. I plead the blood. There's deliverance in that blood. I plead the blood. I plead the blood of the Lamb. I plead the blood. Yeah, you can't have my family. You can't have my family. You can't have my increase. You can't have my increase. You can't have my breakthrough. You can't have my breakthrough. You can't have my. You can't have my. You can't have my. I plead the blood. There's power. I plead the blood. There's deliverance in that blood. I plead the blood. I plead the blood of the Lamb. I plead the blood. Hey, I said you can't have my family. You can't have my family. You can't have my increase. You can't have my increase. You can't have my breakthrough. You can't have my breakthrough. You can't have my.
Coming to you live from New York City, it's the Manning Report with your host, Dr. James David Manning. The truth behind the news and the news behind the headlines.
I'm here because I am a roaring lion crying out righteousness. Welcome, everybody, to the Manning Report. I am Manning, and I am reporting. How's everybody doing? We are dating this message. We are in the season, the holiday season. I pray that you're going to be safe and blessed throughout the holiday season. We're living in tragic times, and I would say to most of you, try to do the best you can in terms of the preservation of your resources, because there's some very difficult, dark days that lie ahead of us. The combination of Elon Musk and Donald John Tribulation Trump, I mean, even a person that was born last night should know that that is a recipe for hell itself. Let me say something to you. Jesus said this, and maybe you'll believe him, that it's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter into heaven. You can't get a camel through the eye of a needle. It ain't gonna happen. It just ain't gonna happen. It's an impossibility. But a camel will be able to go through. It'd be easier for the camel to get through that eye of a needle than for Elon Musk or Donald Trump to get to heaven. And the reason why the Lord said that is because rich people become rich by stealing from other people, by killing other people, by destroying other people. That's the only way you can become rich. You cannot become rich simply by being a just and a good person. A just and a good person is never in the same breath a rich person. And I'm going to be dealing with that more in detail as we go along over the next few months. I want to be able to express that as my candidacy for the office of the mayor of the city of New York, that there are just too many poor people, there are too many homeless people, and there are too many billionaires in America at this present time. And I'm going to set in order a campaign that will make all the crooked places straight, all the rough places plain, all the valleys shall be exalted, and all the hills shall be brought low. This is a scene of a store across the street from our church. There are just too many poor people that are in America today, and there are too many billionaires. This should not be. This is inhumane that this man is sleeping on the street. 20 years ago, he was buying Tupac Shakur's music. He was buying Heavy D's music, Biggie Smalls' music, Jay-Z's music, Puff Daddy, and look at him now. These same men right here have made there's just too many billionaires and too many poor people, too many homeless people. And when I become the mayor of the city of New York, I'm going to straighten out all the crooks. I'm going to straighten out all the crooks. All the crooked places are going to be made plain. All the crooked places are going to be made straight, pardon me. Look at this. All the rough places are going to be made plain. And all of the valleys shall be exalted, and all the hills shall be brought low when I become the mayor of the city of New York. There's just too much poverty, and it doesn't make sense. And this is a scene of me laying a wreath at the light statue there in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, where I call for black and white folk to come together, a racial reconciliation meeting. I've done work like this of working with black people and white people, trying to get them to reconcile one another. When I become mayor, there'll be more campaigns of racial reconciliation as I get down on my knees before my Lord and my Savior, Jesus. And this represents a food program that we had given away bread that was brought to us by a good friend of mine, Coach Dave Dabenmeyer, gave us all that bread. But these men, there's just too much poverty. There's too much poverty on the streets of New York. There's too much homelessness. There's too much of loss. In a city as great as this, in a nation as great as America, these kinds of things should not happen. When I become the mayor of the city of New York, all of this will be undone. We're going to eradicate poverty. Now, we're not going to make poor people rich, but we're going to eradicate poverty. We're going to make all the crooked places straight. We're going to make all the rough places plain. We're going to exalt every valley and bring down every hill. And the Mellon Bank will be at the top of the list of items that we will deal with. But it doesn't make sense. It's inhumane. And every politician in New York, now I could go across the nation, but let me just focus on New York right now. Every politician, every city council person, and every person who has any kind of legislative abilities here in the city of New York ought to be ashamed of themselves that this kind of poverty that I just showed you, that it exists. It should not. There's a fella that I believe is a homosexual. He was one of the 5 blind boys, or one of the 5 Central Park 5, named Yusef Salaam. And I believe he turned gay while he was in prison. Allegedly, now I don't know that to be a fact, but allegedly he turned gay while he was in prison. He's now a city council person, rather, for this particular district. And there have been others who have been city council person, assembly person, Keith Wright, and a bunch of others. They ought to be ashamed of themselves. You saw those photos. Mr. Engineer, roll that back again. This is a modern day Harlem. Those photos you saw is modern day Harlem, or photos of modern day Harlem. And they call themselves for the people. And this kind of poverty should not exist in a city as rich as New York. We got too many billionaires. We got too many billionaires. You got people like Puff Daddy buying 1,000 bottles of baby oil. We got too many billionaires. You got people like Jay-Z out of the Marcy Projects and talking about how they are for the people. You got Beyonce getting $12 million from Camelback Ink Black Harris just to show up with a short skirt and shake her money maker, because that's all that Beyonce does. There's just too many poor people and too many billionaires. No, we got to even this out. The fact that we're going to make all the valley, going to bring up all the valleys, got this man sleeping on the street. We're going to bring down the billionaires, and we're going to raise up the poor people, and we're all going to be on the same level. All the rough places going to be made plain, and all the crooked places are going to be made straight. We got too much poverty, and these people talking about, you got Al Sharpton sitting down there on MSNBC with that concholine in his hair, dying from some sort of special combination of cancer and AIDS. That boy is losing 5 pounds a week. Listen, let me tell you, whatever Al Sharpton got, it's AIDS. AIDS is a part of it. It's a cure. It's a symbol of AIDS, or that cannot be countered with medicine. What the AIDS that he's losing 5 pounds a week. By this time next month, Al Sharpton gonna be so thin, if you turn sideways, you won't be able to see him. And yet, talking about he's a leader for black people. This is modern day New York City. Now this is me at this. This is modern day New York City. Talking about Al Sharpton, the leader of black people. Eric Adams, the mayor of black people, second black mayor. This is modern day New York City. People sleeping on the street, sleeping on the sidewalk. You talking this boy Yusef Salama and all the other black councilmen, Keith Wright, a former assemblyman and crackhead, Keith Wright. And this is modern day America, modern day New York City. After Barack Hussein, the long-legged Mac Daddy, spent 8 years in the White House, this is what the black man got. This is where the black man landed. Obama sleeping up there in Martha's Vineyard out there in Honolulu, where he got mansions on the east and mansions in Honolulu, and this is what the black man got. This is what the black man got from Obama's presidency, from Al Sharpton's so-called leadership, from Keith Wright's leadership. This is what the black man got. This is modern day America. We got too many poor people, and we got too many billionaires. These rappers collecting billions of dollars, sellout artists. We got too many billionaires. We got too many Wall Street billionaires. And this boy Scott Bessent, who's a openly flagrant homosexual, just got appointed to the Treasury Department by Donald John Trump. Now, he got that appointment because Elon Musk told Trump to appoint this openly gay, this openly homosexual. Scott Bessent is now heading all the money in America. He's riding over all the money, all the bank. We got too many billionaires. We got to do something about this. No, we got to do something about it. I'm going to do something about it. I'm going to do something about this poverty and too many poor people, too many homeless people, and too many we got too many billionaires, and I'm going to do something about it. Y'all going to give me the office of the mayor. The first target, of course, is going to be that billionaire trust company called Mellon Bank, but a whole lot of others need to come down. We got too many people sleeping in the street. After 8 years of Obama, listen, we could go back to before Obama, we didn't have black men sleeping in the street the way we got them sleeping in the street now. 8 years of Obama, and here's what we end up with. You got Eric Adams as the mayor, and this is what's going on in modern day Harlem. You got this Yusef Salam, ex-convict, member of the so-called Central Park 5. And this is what's happening. You got Keith Wright. You got all of going on here in New York City. It's too much. We need to make these crooked places straight. Need to make them straighten out these crooks. We need to make every rough place plain. And every valley where you got people homeless and sleeping on the street need to be exalted. And we got to bring down these billionaires. So I said, Pastor Manning, there ain't no way you going to ever get elected. Man, talking about these billionaires got money and they can buy. Let me see, can I just share something? Let me talk to you because I think I got to talk to you. Let me say something to you. Chock full of nuts had a song said, better coffee, millionaires' money couldn't buy. Y'all remember Chock full of nuts years ago? Better coffee, millionaires' money can't buy. Let me tell you why. Let me tell you why billionaires can buy politicians and they buy them like you're going to the store and buying up a whole bunch of Snickers candy bars. Every politician you see is bought and sold. But they can only do that if the soul of the politician is for sale. You say, well, they don't have to buy your soul. They can pay off other people to work against you, but they can't buy the truth. They can't. Let me tell you something. I don't care how much money a billionaire can pour into a campaign. Listen, Camelback Ain't Black Hair spent $1 billion in 3 months and still lost. They can pour billions of dollars into the campaign to have Al Sharpton or Eric Adams run against me or me run against them, and I can still beat them. I don't care how much money. They can't beat the truth. They can't beat power. They can't beat the Holy Ghost. They can't beat me, and I ain't scared of them. I ain't scared of them, and I'll tell you the truth. They can keep pouring their money in the television ads. They can get the media to ostracize me. They can make up lies against me. They can talk all kind of talk, drag up all kind of stuff, try to bring me down, try to smear me, but they can't stop me. It's only when I stop, and I don't plan to stop until every valley is exalted, every rich person is brought low, and every crooked place made plain, and every crooked place made straight, and every rough place made plain. No, they can't stop me. Money can't buy me, and money can't buy anybody that can buy me. Now we got too much homelessness. We got too many poor people. We got too many people sleeping on the streets. Now this has to end. This has to end. These black politicians ought to be shot with feces and then killed for stinking. Now, I'm saying that as a parable. I'm saying it as a metaphor. I'm not inciting violence against these people that they should be harmed. And if anyone thinks that I am, let me recant that. But they used to say that in North Carolina. He ought to be shot with feces and then killed for stinking so bad. But no, I'm not advocating violence against anybody. And if anybody thinks that, I'll retract that statement that I just made. I'm not advocating violence. However, this poverty that's going on, it don't make no sense. It don't make, after 8 years of Obama, you got all these men sleeping on the street, homelessness. You got women and children in shelters. After 8 years of Obama, when y'all gonna wake the hell up? No, Manning for mayor. That's right. Look out, Mellenbank, here I come. Look out, Arquetta. Look out, Philip Little Liar Law Firm. Here I come. Here I come. I told y'all to leave me alone. I told you, leave me the hell alone. I told you. Look out, I'm coming. Hold on. I'm coming. I'm a soul man. Yes, I am. I said I'm a soul man. Yes, I am. We got too many poor people. No, this ain't right. This ain't right. No, all these billionaires. Elon Musk, y'all, anybody, you don't need me to explain this to you. But Elon Musk and Donald Trump, I mean, anybody with half a brain can say, this ain't good for America. and my next segment, I'm going to let you take a look at what AI, the advancement of AI. And we're gonna need to be protected from artificial intelligence. I'm gonna bring it up in my next segment, but let's just close with this. We're gonna eradicate poverty here in New York. We're going to eradicate homelessness here in New York. and we're going to eradicate these billionaires here in New York. All right? So I'm coming. I'm there. Hold on if you can. Hold on to this time next year, and I'll be the mayor of the city of New York. And every crooked place will be made straight, and every rough place will be made plain. Every valley shall be exalted, and every hill brought low. I'm James David Manning. I'm the Lord's servant. And don't you ever forget it.
Peace be unto you and your family. Welcome to the Atla Children's Breakfast Program. We welcome parents and their children to partake in our breakfast program from 7:30 to 8:30 a.m. Monday through Friday downstairs in our fellowship hall. At 8:30, we end our breakfast program to run our elementary, middle, and high school. If you wish to inquire about our school, please speak to one of our staff. Have a blessed day and thank you.
Hola, mi nombre es José Luis Matos. Soy uno de los asistentes ministros de la iglesia Allah World Missionary Church. Mi pastor James David Manning me ha pedido que le diera oficialmente la bienvenida a nuestro ministerio. Bienvenidos a ustedes y a toda su familia a disfrutar de nuestra comida y hospitality. También queremos invitarlos a nuestro servicio que se da todos los sábados a las 10 de la mañana. Si hay algo que podemos ayudarle, por favor déjenoslo saber. También tenemos una escuela desde el kindergarten hasta el 12 grado. Si desea inscribir a sus hijos, por favor contacte a la madre Elizabeth Saramani al teléfono 877-777-0734. El teléfono es 877-777-0734. Gracias. Peace.
All right, I reserved reporting on this event regarding T.D. Jakes in the Trust in the Lord hour because that's my spiritual hour, and I don't see him as a person of true spirituality, Christianity, prophecy, or anything else. He's just a motivational speaker, and a good one motivationally, and he's used the Bible and the verses to wrap his motivational skills, and he's made millions of dollars doing it. The internet covered it, I think it's TMZ, and Newsbreak brought up on yesterday that while that Jakes appears to have had a medical emergency during his sermon, and if we can bring that up, that is what happened to him on yesterday while he was preaching. Now, read the article that Jakes appeared to have a medical emergency. The Potter's House in Dallas just released a statement writing, the pastor experienced a slight health incident and received immediate medical attention. He is stable and under the doctor's care. T.D. Jakes, a popular Christian pastor, seemed to have had a medical emergency during the Sunday sermon, convulsing on stage. The preacher and motivational speaker was speaking to his audience both in the church and the live streaming, and while his voice seemed quiet and he wiped his sweat from his brow, nothing appeared out of the ordinary. But suddenly Jake stopped speaking, letting his hands fall to his side, and he began to shake. Several people from backstage rushed to his aid, and the stream was cut. There are a couple of things. I don't know what the medical emergency is. They're not saying. Obviously, there's been a diagnosis, but as far as I know, this happened on yesterday mid-afternoon, and there has been no further updating of report. If so, someone will update me and let me know if there's been a diagnosis of what happened to him. It could have been a heart attack, could have been a stroke, who knows what the actual event was, or it could have been just fatigue. But let me say this about Jakes. I don't pray that he lives. I certainly don't want to see him die. And I don't want him to be able to use this incident to gain sympathy. I believe that the FBI, I'm a Homeland Security, child trafficking, sex trafficking, and I believe I think Jakes is being investigated for sex trafficking. And with underage people, with Puff Daddy. Now, do I have absolute stomp down evidence of that? I do not. I do know that Puff Daddy and Jakes had a very tight relationship, and Jakes was singing to Puff Daddy's birthday, and he's been to these so-called freak-offs that Jakes has been there. It was last year at Christmas that the story broke that Jakes and Puff Daddy were tight, and that Puff Daddy, was under investigation for sex trafficking. There are a couple of things. One is that Jakes is smart enough and wise enough to use an incident like this to get sympathy and maybe call off the investigation, or if there is a news break, and I'll watch to see if there's news breaking about Puff Daddy, his videos being exposed, and maybe Jakes is on a video that's being exposed. He could use this to get sympathy. People tend to be forgiving if you're sick and looks like you're not being arrogant about something, as the information that could possibly flow from what Puff Daddy and Jakes have been doing sexually. And most people believe that Puff Daddy and Jakes were sex partners, that they had sex with each other and maybe sex with underage people. I don't have that as a fact. But I do know that Jakes is smart enough to try to gain sympathy and to just kind of quit publicly and preaching like that, and then take a rest for a couple of weeks. He's got enough money; he don't need to go back to the Potter's house. He can stay off the scene until this whole thing blows over. I don't know that's what happened. The man could have actually had a stroke. He could have actually had a short enough stomp down, body paralyzing stroke. I don't know that. I don't know if he had a heart attack. I don't know. Maybe just fatigue. I don't know. But I want to add this other segment to the discussion. At first I said, I'm not even going to talk about it. I'm not going to report it. But I said, well, maybe some of the members that listen to me might want to hear what I think about it. So my thoughts are this, is that, and it is not my intent to be mean-spirited. I pray that he lives to get to see justice done to him. I pray that he does. If he dies, then the justice and the injustice and all the people that he has ripped off goes away. I said, Pastor, man, that's a pretty strange prayer you have. Well, first of all, it's not a prayer. Let's just say it is my druthers or my ruthers is that he would be able to experience whatever he's guilty of. I think he's ripped a lot of people off. He has lied. He's used the word of God. He's a motivational speaker. The man he's not a preacher. I mean, he's a preacher, yes, but he's not ordained of God. This boy can talk a polecat down off of a meat wagon. This boy can talk. Now that boy he's ugly as midnight in a swamp, in a cypress swamp, but the boy can talk. Now the boy can talk. He can stir you. He's a motivator. He got a gift. Look, Zig Ziglar, the same thing. The other guy, how to win friends and influence people. There are people that they're just motivated. That's what they do. And he's good at it, but he's not called of God, and that needs to be clear. And he's ripped a lot. He has ripped off Jesus, ripped off the Bible. He's torn off, gotten tons of money using the Bible and combined. So I pray that, he gets his comings up, whatever. I pray. I don't pray that. That's but I just want to add that potentially he could be seeking sympathy. He could be seeking sympathy. That there could be some reports coming out that Puff Daddy is maybe blackmailing him. Maybe Puff Daddy is blackmailing. Who knows what's going to? Puff Daddy been intimidating witness from the jail cell. They're telling me that boy, and of course he got his surrogates to come to visit him. He called up T.D. Jakes and said, "Get me out of here. Come see me. Come visit me. Get me out of here. Or I'm going to tell them. I'm going to tell the world where the bones are buried about our encounter." I don't know this to be true. Pastor Man, why are you speculating this? Well, I don't mean to be speculating in that regard. I'm just trying to report something. Tell you what, why don't we just leave this alone and see what happened? But Jakes has never been called of God. He's a motivational speaker. He should have never ripped off the Bible and ripped off people. But he ain't the only one. What's that? Joel Osteen is probably better than Jakes. Joyce Myers, they're motivational. They're good at that. They just rip off the word of God rather than just setting up a program or a university where they do that kind of thing. All right, everybody, I'm going to take a break, and I'll be right. Bob Jackson, babe, Bob Jackson. Bob Jackson sent us some material today, and I'm going to let you take a look at what Bob Jackson sent us, and he's trying to help us in our Mirror campaign. Yeah, Bob Jackson going to write some songs for us. He's going to be a part of our committee, a part of our, if you will, commissioners, Bob Jackson, and everybody else. We've had a relationship, I'm going to be looking at you once I become mayor, all while we're having the campaign. Mr. Engineer, let that clip roll of Bob Jackson. Well, say, Pastor Manny, what's your position on the migrants, on the immigrants? What's your position on that? One of my campaign slogans is going to be, lock the doors to the border, but open the heart of America. You can lock the door to the border. You just tell people you just can't come into this. You just can't come into our nation, and without, I understand you got issues in Guatemala, Nicaragua, El Salvador, Mexico, and the places all over the world, down in Haiti, and I understand that. Let's try to streamline this thing where it can be done in a way whereby we can take in immigrants. So we're going to lock the door so they won't be flooding the borders, but we're going to open our hearts to these people and let them know our hearts are open. Just like we open our heart. Listen, let me tell you something. You come to this church in the morning, and there'll be people eating that are migrants. They don't speak the language, but we feed them, feed their children, and we just open our heart. Yeah, I want to be able to say something to some of y'all, and maybe not to you directly, but maybe you're in contact with some people that, y'all got to be crazy. Donald John Trump and Elon Musk are working together. You got to be out of your mind if you think anything good is going to come out of that. We can certainly jiggle with this, but when I was telling black people, not that Hamites, when I was telling black people, Obama ain't for you. They didn't believe it. They called me up, cussing me out, said, "Hey, nigga, we're going to kill you, our first black president." Now that, my style bothers you, forgive me and love me anyway, okay? It's just my style. It's who I am. I want to be truthful. We're going to burn down your church. We're going to kill you. Black people all over Africa, all here in America, throwing rocks through the window. I said, Obama don't care nothing about y'all. First black president. We black people got to stick together. I said, but Obama don't care nothing about y'all. I'm trying to tell you. Now it's been 16 years, 12 years rather. And black people are finally waking up and say, doggone, Pastor Mann was right. But I'm only introducing that because I want to say to these MAGA people, Donald Trump don't give a damn about you. He never have, and he never will. And there ain't nothing you can do for Donald Trump to care for you. There ain't nothing you can't, Donald Trump don't care nothing about Elon Musk. The man's a psychopath. Donald Trump don't care nothing about America. He doesn't. The man's a psychopath. He needs to be in a straitjacket somewhere. Donald Trump does not care about America. He doesn't. He don't care nothing, and he cares even less about the people that voted for him. But we're in a period, a spiritually prophesied period called the tribulation, and y'all got caught up in it. Well, Pastor Man, we used to like you. Boy, you were talking about Obama. Man, you were telling us the truth. Good Lord, have mercy, Pastor Man. You tell us the truth about Obama. You were telling us the truth. And you helped us, Pastor Man, during the days of Obama. You told us the truth about Obama. You were right about Obama, but now you ain't right about Trump. Oh, I see you. You got a problem. No, I see. I'm a one side. I only tell the truth about, I'm only truthful when it comes to Obama, but not about Trump. Oh, I see. Okay. All right. Okay, go ahead. But I have to tell you that the difficult days, very difficult times, because Trump does not care anything about America. He doesn't care. He can wreck this whole place and move to Russia. He doesn't care. He doesn't care about, you ask anybody that knows, ask Michael Cohen. Ask Michael Cohen. Ask Stormy Daniels. What's that Hamite woman name used to hang out with Trump? She used to be she was on that Apprentice program. I'll get her name now. Ask her. Ask Melania. Trump does not know how to care about anything. He just doesn't know. He has no shame. You see, you can't shame him. You can't. He doesn't have those qualities in his. The man's a psychopath. He need to be in a straitjacket somewhere. Ask Michael Cohen. Ask Bill Barr. Ask anybody that has worked with him. Ask anybody who's been around you. They'll tell you the man is a psychopath. He is physically devoid of anything other than himself. And now he's hooked up with Elon Musk. So there's very difficult days ahead of y'all. Very difficult days. And you'll see, just like black people got spit in the face by Obama, at least it was just spit that Obama put in the face of black people. Now, I don't mean to be ugly or anything of that nature. I don't mean to be insensitive. I don't mean to be vulgar. But I want to try to make my emphasis and examples as poignant and pointed as I possibly can. What you MAGA people going to get from Trump? I can't say. I don't even use that word when I'm alone by myself. I don't use that. There's some 4-letter words I just don't use. I don't use that word, but that's what y'all gonna get in the face. That's what y'all gonna get in the face, and you're gonna get it big time from Trump and from us. By the way, I'm trying to corner for just a second. This is Fareed Zakaria. This boy, this is a Punjab from over yonder in Calcutta somewhere in India. He went to Harvard and all that kind of stuff. I watch him. I find him interesting. And he had the founder of Google on his broadcast the other day talking about the advancement of AI, which is another devil that's coming down the road. And I thought maybe y'all don't get exposed to this kind of thing, so I thought I clipped it off, and I'm going to let you take a listen to it, because that's important that you watch out that AI is coming. They say it's coming. AI is already here. It's just a matter of how much influence it has now and how much influence it'll have a year from now. and we're going to need to learn how to protect ourselves. So, Mr. Engineer, roll that clip.
Last month, NVIDIA, the maker of computer chips specialized for artificial intelligence, claimed its place as the world's most valuable company. This week, it reported an astounding 94% increase in revenue from last year. The AI revolution is most certainly upon us, but is the world prepared for the scale and speed at which it will advance? And are there enough safeguards against the dangers that it poses? Former Google CEO and executive chairman Eric Schmidt has co-authored a new book on the very topic titled Genesis: Artificial Intelligence, Hope and the Human Spirit. His co-authors are the illustrious late diplomat Henry Kissinger and the former Microsoft executive Craig Mundie. I should note I'm a senior advisor for Eric's philanthropic ventures. Pleasure to have you on.
Great to be back.
So, for you, you've been writing about AI and studying it very closely for a while now. You write in the book that we're going to get to the point where the AI will start writing its own code and setting its own objectives. Right. That sounds scary. Explain what you mean, and is it scary?
It's very scary, and it goes something like this. Today, programmers are using roughly these systems for half of their coding. Most people think that eventually most programs will be written by the AI itself. When the program can rewrite itself, which is called recursive self-improvement, it's going to gain much quicker than we can evolve as humans. What's going to stop it? How do you contain it? How do you make sure it doesn't learn to lie, to deceive, to do terrible behaviors that we can't monitor?
And just to understand that, so will it, when it does this recursive self-learning, will it be doing it towards some objective, some broad objective we have given it, or can it alter that objective itself?
Well, in the short term, humans control these things. So everything you use today, some human said, learn this, go find this and so forth. At some point, if the system is organized around curiosity and to seek power and influence, it could begin to set its own objective functions. The technical term is objective functions. It's what it trains against. So you could have a situation where the system decides that the most important thing is to learn everything and then begin to do things and lie about them, right? So we couldn't monitor it. There is a set of triggers. One is where it begins to learn on its own. Another is where the agents begin to talk into non-human languages, so we can't see what they're doing. A third would be when the system says, hey, I want to make copies of myself, and it doesn't bother to ask the human for permission. These are trigger points. I want to say, by the way, that everyone's always concerned about the killer robot in these, because of all the movies. I'm much more concerned about bad humans, right? Evil humans using this in nefarious ways. In our book, we spend a lot of time talking about polymaths. Polymaths are incredibly important. You know all about this, Einstein, so forth and so on. These systems will effectively put a polymath in the pocket of every person on the planet. We're not ready for that.
But that sounds good.
Depends on your view of good and evil, right? You and I are both optimists. We believe in essential human nature, but we know that there are evil. And I also think that you're going to see a change in world order. We talk about this in the book at quite some length. As you know, Dr. Kissinger was the author of the world order ideas. In a situation where all of this progress is driven by a democratic model that comes out of the United States and our allies, the UK mostly, and Chinese, which is not driven by a democracy, that fight is the fight for the ages. Because if the competition is for that ability, whoever gets there first can apply it to even scale and stay even farther ahead. It's a real race.
You've said that the U.S. is ahead. By how much and how worried should we be that lead could slip? So far, it seems as though all the major research is coming out of the U.S.
2 years ago, I told you here that we had a 2-year advantage against China. It looks like it's over. China has now released 3 models in the last month, and they all have the same opportunity and power that the American models. And I go, how did this happen? Right? We have all of these sanctions. We have all of these ways in which this incredible hardware that NVIDIA makes and others is not available to the Chinese. Well, we don't fully know, but we do know that with an enormous amount of money and the great talent in China, which is very real, They are very close. It's very different now than 2 years ago.
Right.
But they're in the race, and they're in the race of the most important technology that will ever be invented in our lifetimes. Because the arrival of a non-human intelligence with this kind of power under our control is very important. Go through this scenario where China ultimately beats us, and it reflects Chinese values, which are not democratic. And it inures to benefit the Chinese government, which is a monopoly, as opposed to the democracies of the world.
Before I let you go, I have to ask you about you're a multi-billionaire technologist. There is another multi-billionaire technologist very close to the new White House, the new president. What do you think of Elon Musk, his involvement in politics? Is it basically good, but does it worry you? How do you think about it?
It's too new to know. We've never seen this kind of a partnership. Elon is a truly brilliant man. If you look, he bought Twitter, lost a lot of money, used it to help get the president elected, made all the money back, and now has an influence that's far greater than any other technologist in history, including people like Bill Gates and so forth. We'll see how long it lasts. It's probably positive for technology, and it's certainly positive for Elon's businesses.
On that note, Eric Schmidt, always a pleasure.
Let me suggest a couple of things. One is that the AI idea right now, people generally think that it's under the control of the scientists or the technicians or computer geniuses or corporate heads or the algorithms, and so it's under control. What was suggested in this piece is that at some point AI is going to learn how to write its own programs, and these programs will not be under the control of humans. It will be a non-human sense of intelligence. More specifically, that AI potentially can then learn human traits and understanding and begin to lie to the humans about what it's doing and how it's doing it. And as a result of that, be able to outmaneuver and do what they want to do with the universe. Then another point that was made is that AI potentially could at some point learn and advance and understand the world faster than any human could ever think or know. So at one point, humans would be like Hottentots compared to the intelligence of the universities. And all of this is clearly predicted, and all of this is happening. The problem is can AI be stopped at this present time? There are many people think it'll do a lot of good, cure cancer, it'll solve a lot of problems. It very well may do that, but it can also create a lot of problems as well. We're left to be, I say, stop AI now, but I don't even know if it can be stopped. Can I turn the corner for just a second? I want to say something else to you. I don't believe that Trump won the election legally. Here, let's say, for instance, you have a cell phone, right? And on your phone, you've got Twitter. Or let's say, for instance, that, or X now is what it's called, and X in particular, or there is a computer or a laptop somewhere in the vicinity of where votes are being counted, right? 3 years ago, the American Department of National Intelligence purchased a program called Pegasus. Pegasus was a program, it was a computer program that could actually spy on your phone, spy on anything, your television, spy on your iPad. It doesn't have to be in the vicinity of it, but Pegasus, all it needed was a telephone number or reasonably who you are. And Pegasus has the opportunity to spy on anything or anybody. Now, they say that America never put Pegasus into operation. That's what they say. You know, that's probably a lie. That no cell phone is a safe instrument, and that everybody's got one. And so if you want to know anything about anything, go to the cell phone, but find a way how to tap the cell phone and how to get the info. And then Pegasus could do it. Let's say, for instance, I have Twitter or X on my phone and I'm working in the campaign. I'm counting votes. Or let's say, for instance, the people that are counting the votes or has a cell phone that's near the machine. The machine is not online, it's counting the votes, but it doesn't have to be online. It still uses computer technology. Though it's not online, you can't hack it, not if you hack it online. But if you have a cell phone and it has a Twitter app, the Twitter app can manipulate the counting process, the calculation process of a non-online, non-streaming computer and can manipulate the votes. Here is how I think. Donald Trump says about other people the very thing that he does and will do. It's incredible watching this man. He accuse everybody of doing the stuff that he does, and actually he never does it. So when Rudolph Giuliani, Ruby Swain and Shay Moss were accused of passing dope or something and then Donald Trump accused the voting counting machine to have manipulate the votes. And Fox News carried the story, and Fox News got sued nearly $1 billion for carrying Trump's lie. But was it a lie? And was Trump trying to tell us what he's going to do? Was Trump trying to tell us that the way that people say, well, you can't manipulate the vote count because no computer that counts votes is online, but it's a computer, and it will respond to signals. It will respond to calculations, and anybody with a cell phone near a vote counting can manipulate the votes, can actually through Twitter. And here's where Elon Musk comes in. Elon Musk now owns Twitter. The only other system I think probably is larger would be TikTok, and I don't think TikTok would have went for this. But Elon Musk could have used Twitter, or X rather, in some of the key states to manipulate the vote by people who were innocently standing. Could be somebody who's just a security guard. He's standing outside the room where the votes are being counted, but he's got a cell phone and he's got X on his cell phone, and that cell phone can send a signal to the vote counting system and give Trump the win. Why is that possible? I believe it's more than possible. I think it's actually what happened, because that's what Trump told us that everybody else was doing. Trump told us that that's what people are doing. Trump said that's how the election was stolen from him last time. So if that's what he believes it, then he would do it. And teaming up, and here comes Elon Musk and Elon Musk would say to him, well, I know how to get, I have a computer, I have Twitter, I have an online system that most people carry into the voting system. Let's put it this way. Let's say, for instance, I want to place a vote for Camelback ain't Black Harris. But when I go vote, I got my cell phone, right? Got my cell phone in my pocket, wherever I got it, a woman you got in your purse. And so when I go in to vote, and I could, using the algorithms, Twitter can tell whether it's in Wisconsin, Oshkosh, or whether it's in Detroit, or wherever it's at. Twitter knows they know within 3 feet of where you're standing, and they know you're in the, and once you go in the voting booth, if it's not a paper, if it's a mechanical calculating ballot system, once you walk out, Twitter can change your vote. I mean, because your phone was there, it was near the system, it was near the calculating machine, and so Elon Musk presents this idea to Trump, and he did it a year ago. And now the two of them are working together. I mean, but you think about it, that Trump should not have really won the election. And a lot of people are scratching their heads. This man is as vulgar, uncouth. He's a psychopath. He's a madman. And I know we got a lot of, maybe 16, 17 million people that'll just do anything he says. But he doesn't have 80 million people. He couldn't. How did he do that? How did he do that? I believe it's Elon Musk. I believe he's already told us. I believe Trump told us that elections can be stolen. And everybody running around, well, the computer accounting systems are not online and we can recount and all of that, and we're paper ballots and all that. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you what the Lord loves. If you have a cell phone and you got X on that phone, that the government can read your telephone, they can read your toilet paper. I'm telling you, if they want to tap your phone, I just heard the other day where the Chinese have tapped into all of the American systems. The Chinese have tapped into J.D. Vance, Trump, all the cabinet members, all the campaign workers, and they were in there for a year listening to everything that Trump said. Everything that Trump said when he went to the bathroom, every sound he made, is the Chinese got it. And they've been collecting information for a year. And our National Intelligence Corps people didn't know it until just about a month ago. And the news broke on yesterday. So, I mean, I don't think Trump won the election. I don't. I don't. These systems that they have now are so powerful that man can't control them. And even people who understand intelligence understand algorithms. Let me tell you something. Once these systems are set in place, listen, Elon Musk is talking about creating robots that will replace humans. They've been talking about that for a long time. And everybody knows, if anybody wants to know anything about me, all they got to do is know my phone. And if I have that phone on me or my iPad, and they don't have to be in the vicinity of it, they can tap it from the moon. Which is the other thing I'd like to say as well, is that what I'll have to talk to our campaign manager about is that one of the things they're going to use to try to stop me from winning the office of the mayor of the city of New York is continue to deny me access to the media. They do it now, and they know everything I say. They know everything I do. They know about it. The content of what I put forth on a daily basis is extraordinary. Not to be boastful, but it is. But the media don't come anywhere near it because I'm too much of a threat to their well-being. I talk too good. I explain things too clearly. I'm too emphatic and passionate and powerful. And so the media cannot have me getting a lot of views on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter. They can't have that. They can't have someone who is a threat. I'm a threat to the well-being of these organizations. So they algorithm me. And they don't let me get out. Listen, people keep sending me stuff showing me pictures of people peanut with the football. They get 2 million views, right? And I come with a truth like this and only 5 people see it. And that's all they're going to let see. So I'm going to have to talk to our campaign manager about how do we get around the algorithm? Because they've been doing this to me for years. How do we get around it? How do we get around the fact that they don't want the content of what I say to be heard? We're going to have to use a lot of techniques. We're going to have to use on-the-street communication. We're going to have to use mouth-to-mouth communication. We're going to have to use, other kinds of communication that are not connected to the computer, or connected to the regular media. By the way, Bob Jackson sent me something about MSNBC. I'll try to run it tomorrow. That even MSNBC and CNN are going out of business because there are too many other places. Young people don't get their news from Anderson Cooper and Fox News, and young people have 1,000 other places to get. It's only old funnies like myself that still watch cable news, but young people don't watch. They don't have to. There's so many outlets, and so these organizations are losing money left and right, losing audiences. They're hemorrhaging audiences like you won't believe. And soon all these organizations will fail. There are no local newspapers. There's a paper here in Harlem called Amsterdam News. Local paper. You see with the Philadelphia Inquirer. There are a lot of little local papers that have long since been shut down, gone out of business, closed, taken down their sign, because they just can't compete with the computer and the cell phone in terms of people getting news instantly like that. So we're going to beat them at their own game. Now that I know that they've been doing this, they don't want my content to go out. They will find another way. But let's go back to the original question here about, I don't believe that Trump legally won it. Now, he may have won it through the algorithm process. He may have won it by guards standing outside the door with a cell phone and said, well, maybe you can't bring your cell phone into the booth. I think most people do take their cell phones and whatever the cell phone says the vote should be when you walk out, that's what it's going to be, not necessarily what you wanted to take place. So I thought it would be important that we would spring that on you. You might want to hear it. You may want to pay attention to it. You may not. Most people think that, what I say is, unless somebody of authority approves what Pastor Manning says, they're not going to jiggy with it. But we'll see what happens. I'm James Everett Manning, everybody. I'm the Lord's servant, and don't you ever forget it.
Pastor Manning, you are the one to preach righteous and true. You're a sharecropper, son. Pastor Manning, the things you've been through, the Obama years, tribulation Trump too. Pastor Manning, you get knocked down, you get back up, you preach on holy ground. Pastor Manning, you're the one. You preach righteous and truth. You're sharecropper.